about today is Ola Electric as well as a Maruti Suzuki. Puneet, it's very interesting to see, what's happening with the Ola Electric. Last couple of weeks, or probably I would say months, it's an absolute negative news that's piling on with the Ola Electric. What are you picking up that you've been tracking this company pretty closely? Because, it's just not getting over.
Yep, definitely. And it started with February 19, where they first had a press release that said that the registration process will be impacted in this particular month, and we saw that impact in terms of sales as well. So for Ola Electric, unlike other automakers, the company does not report a number on the first of every month. It is the Vahan data, which is the actual sales, like people and you and me buy. We consider Ola Electric in terms of that. Now, in this particular month of February, the company reported sales of roughly about 8,390 units, and that was a fall of about almost 200% compared to the previous month, where it did 25,000 units. Despite that, the company went on to mention that they've sold 25,000 but only registered the 8,390 units, and that was the first news. Apart from that, going into 4th of March or 2025, the company mentioned that they received a letter from IFSCI which specifically mentioned non-achievement of PLI targets for the battery venture, which is the Ola cell technology. So that's again another key negative. The company has clarified that they will be starting their battery ventures and using those batteries in the EV scooters from the first quarter of FY26, which is basically April of 2025. But that will still, impact the PLI incentives, if so, in the next fiscal year. The other aspect is vehicle registration entity Rosmerta, which was the external agency which would register the vehicles after they've been sold. That has, filed a complaint with NCLT, specifically mentioning non-payment as well as defaults for their share of payments of about 17 to 18 odd crores, and that's the story my colleague Tushar had filed. Now, specifically, that is the key negative. Apart from that, the only positive news in the last week has been that the company is guided for EBITDA break-even in Q1 of FY26, essentially going from negative 28% EBITDA margins to almost zero or just positive 1%. So, while it has had a share of negative news flow and the stock is also down about 6% today, this number of EBITDA break-even will be something to watch out for. But earlier they had mentioned, Hiral, that they need to achieve 50,000 units to get that kind of number. Currently, they're selling about 25,000 units. So it'll be very interesting, and it should be something that if the street is believing in that number or no.
Yeah, and with this, the stock price is below 50 rupees, right?
Yeah.
That's something which is concerning to the investors as well. Before we go across to Avinash, the other stock that we mentioned was with regards to Maruti. Puneet, of course, you can come in on that one as well. But clearly, this is going to be the third time that Maruti is looking at a price hike, and this will be from April 2025. I think in the month of January, that's on the 1st of January, they hiked prices up to 4%. On the 1st of Feb, they looked at around a price hike of around 32,500 rupees. And now another 4% price hike that would be coming in by the 1st of April. So clearly, across the model range offered by Nexa and Arena outlets, that's where that 4% price hike would be coming in. What they are saying is that this is done mainly to offset the higher input costs as well as the operational expenses. And the sales growth has remained slightly muted this time around, and that's the reason why you're not seeing that operational efficiency kick in and the company has to take a price hike. Now, clearly, their agenda is to go ahead and reclaim that 50% market share in India by end of this decade. That's what they are indicating. But with the kind of price hikes, Tushar, that they are taking in, do you think that their ambition of regaining that 50% market share is going to come true with the other companies coming up with a lot of other models, not only in the petrol diesel space, but even if you see in terms of the EV space?
Yeah, definitely. And that's a big price hike because they announced a 4% price hike, as you said, in January. Then individual models such as Celario got a price hike of almost about 32,500, the highest. So that was a key negative, and another 4% price hike. So definitely at a time where demand has not portrayed into sales, specifically for Maruti Suzuki as well as the industry. So apart from Mahindra, everyone's affected. I think this one will be very talked about in this particular quarter as well as the earnings as well.
So clearly, if you see a price hike versus recovery in sales, it's a pretty chicken and egg situation because they want to make sure they regain that 50% market share, but with the kind of price hikes that they're taking, don't see that happening. In fact, let's ask Avinash this. Avinash, two stocks, Ola Electric as well as Maruti. What would you have to say? Because Ola has been in the ditches. The stock is below 50%. What do you have to make out of it? And Maruti, who is aspiring to gain that 50% market share plus number and the quantum of price hikes that they've already taken in 2025.
No, I think Hiral, as far as Ola Electric is concerned, I think the narrative has been sounded off by the management. But I think in case of Ola Electric, the markets would clearly wait for some sort of visibility on the EBITDA positive, kind of front. They've given a guidance that EBITDA could turn positive by FY 26 first quarter, and I think markets would obviously look at the volume of units they sell every month. Currently, they're still behind that target. So I would not be surprised that there is not going to be any near-term trigger for the stock. The markets are already seeing a lot of lull and softness in the two-wheeler market. And I think it's going to be a challenge for them. It's not going to be an easy job. My sense is that it's better to wait for a couple of months because now we are in the month of March. Probably in the next quarter is what they are targeting EBITDA positive numbers. So it's better to wait and watch because the stock is below the IPO price of 60 rupees, and any near-term trigger would obviously depend on how strong the data comes from the company in terms of volume sold, in terms of the operational EBITDA. Because I think that is one number which has led to a lot of discomfort for the company. And as far as Maruti is concerned, my sense is that they have decided to go in for another rate price increase from April, which seems to be quite surprising considering the fact that passenger car volumes have turned soft. Demand is not growing as per expectation. So I think, overall, this price hike, I don't know how customers are going to take it, but this is definitely a very difficult time for the industry, for Maruti, and that is why this price hike comes at a time when customers are not willing to pay a premium. So I think we'll have to wait and watch and see how the numbers pan out for Jan to March. And then obviously what's the kind of commentary from the management. But price increase at this point of time could definitely be a retrograde step. It could actually impact their volumes negatively. That is what I think.
Got the view, Avinash. And